Now Julian Edelman, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not. But think about this. Brady and Belichick rushed to their phones. Rushed to social media. Bill Belichick. Probably the most introverted guy I know. Or, I don't really know him, but you know what I mean. Probably the most introverted guy I know. Know what he said? For all Julian did for our team, what I may appreciate the most is he was the quintessential throwback player. He could and did do everything. Catch, run, throw, block, return, cover, tackle. All with an edge and attitude that would not allow him to fail under any circumstance. Julian Edelman is the ultimate competitor, and it was a privilege to coach him. That is a quote by the best coach ever in Bill Belichick, the 6-time champion. And you may have questions after this one losing season, but honestly, I think 7-9 was overachievement considering all the opt-outs and everything. It was a privilege to coach him. And Brady, if you look at his Instagram, he mentioned he showed up best in big games. You got to make sacrifices when you play for a great organization. Like Clay with the Warriors, he gets 9 shots a game. He's like a 19-point scorer a game. When he could easily, if he played for the Hornets or someone, he would be the guy that dropped 30 a night and had 20 shots. He makes sacrifices, especially when they had KD and Steph in their backcourt. Not backcourt, but you know what I mean. KD and Steph on that team, it was hey, sometimes I could just sit back and watch them do all the scoring. When you're a Brady or Montana, you lead in the fourth a lot. You don't get... I love Matt Stafford. I love Matt Ryan. I think they're great. I think they're really underappreciated for what they've been able to do. But a lot of their stats are junk time stats, And Calvin Johnson, too. Another great receiver. Probably top 5 ever. Do you think Julian Edelman would trade his career for Calvin Johnson's? No. Would Calvin Johnson trade his career for Julian Edelman? Probably. I don't think Edelman deserves... he's not going to make the Hall of Fame. But honestly, he'd get my vote. Because he's not going to get there. I'm not saying he should be a Hall of Famer. But what he did in his career, I think, is simply amazing. Alright, let's get some music going. And I have stats later that I'm gonna read to you that are it's gonna show. And I mean, when you make sacrifices for a team, I think you should, when you're the sacrificial lamb almost. Think about what he did over his time. It wouldn't be crazy to say he got my Hall of Fame vote. Alright. Alright, so Bruce Arians is not ruling out drafting the quarterback in the first round. Bruce Arians, what I love, he's had a crazy career. He starts off with, he's kind of this, he's like Loose Bruce, he's kind of out there, he's a cocktail guy, and, he's kind of, he's the anti-Belichick, almost. Think about this, he was retired, and he was known as kind of a poor man's Andy Reid. He was like a loser in the big games, He comes out of retirement, and he gets the best team in football and Tom Brady. He gets Tom Brady, the best player of all time, and he gets the most stacked boxer in football, and cruises his way after After the bye week, he cruises his way to the Super Bowl. It was like God told him, you come back to football, almost, basically. So Bruce Arians, give him 2 more trophies, maybe, he's a Hall of Fame head coach. Alright. Let's move on to the next one. So the Cardinals traded for D-Hop a couple. Was it this? It was this year, actually. Yeah. Last summer, my bad. And it was voted for the best transaction of the year. Now, for me, this was the beginning of the end with Watson. I think Watson saw that and he was like, and he was kind of like, they knew I was close with D-Hop. They knew I liked him. But they just shipped him away for David Johnson, who, sure, he was an MVP candidate at some point, but he's not there anymore. He's injured constantly. So, I think that kind of ended things with Watson right there. Like, LeBron in Cleveland, like, everything kind of ended once they traded Kyrie after telling him that they weren't going to trade him. That was the beginning of the end. Alright. So, Steph Curry became the all-time leading scorer for the Warriors team. And think about this. He's changed the game as much, if not more, than MJ and LeBron did. MJ and LeBron kind of changed, I don't think LeBron, he changed player empowerment, kind of. Obviously players had the opportunity to go to other teams and they never thought of it until LeBron. MJ, he kind of created basketball almost. Created the brand. He was very flashy. But who else changed their sports? Like Steph, and with Steph, it's not like, the great thing about Steph, he's not physically gifted. He's small. So, you look at Steph and you're like, look at his range. I can do that. Because you look at LeBron and you're like, yeah, that's the LeBron thing. Only he can do that. He's not, he's just different. Steph, that's what makes Steph so influential. He's like 6'3", 190. Yeah, LeBron's 6'8", 250. So, it's a big difference there. And that's what makes him so influential. So, congrats to Steph. You are a top 15, maybe even top 10 player of all time. Okay, do I have... how long has this podcast been? So, 23 minutes. Nice. Alright. So apparently the Eagles treated Doug Peterson poorly. Surprise, surprise. We heard this about Chip Kelly. He went 10-6. One bad year, out. Doug Peterson, 9-7. He went 13-3 one year, won the Super Bowl. One bad year, out. And people like Chip Kelly and Doug Peterson, they're saying it's a nut to their allies, the people they know. The coaches who are interviewing for a job. It's a nightmare there, and you do not want to be in Philadelphia. And I criticize them for hiring Nick Sirianni, but that is kind of the only option they had. A 38-year-old who took his shot at money, which I don't blame him for. And with Nick Sirianni, I was hard on him too. Like I am with Mac Jones. I wish them the best. I don't want them to fail. It's just I think they will. I don't have high hopes. So think about this. Nick Sirianni was overwhelmed by a Zoom call. If you look at Sean McVay's first press conference, it was good. It was good. He sounded confident. You can clearly hear his voice. Nick Sirianni, he was shaken up a bit. If you're overwhelmed by a Zoom call, you're going to lose the locker room probably. Because think about this. I think I saw an article a couple years ago. Mike Tomlin may lose games when he never loses the locker room. Tomlin has never had a losing season. McVay never loses the locker room. If you're in a room with 50 alpha males, because every football player is an alpha male. Even Brady, who takes pay cuts constantly, he's an alpha male. You know, he yells. So if you're over on my Zoom call when you're not even you're not even in a room with anyone, like you're in a room with these 50 alpha males in here, it's going to be easy for you to lose a locker room if you're losing confidence there. So how is he going to do with a brutal owner who gives you one shot, who needs you to be perfect constantly, perfect? Which Nick Sirianni is not going to be, and no coach is. I mean, Bill Belichick just went 7-9. Bill Belichick missed the playoffs before, he got Brady. Who else? What else? Bill Parcells. The guy has a 57% win percentage, same as Jason Garrett. You gotta give them chances here. The Packers gave McCarthy 2 bad seasons. They gave him 2. He had 2 straight bad seasons, one without Aaron Rodgers. But it just became clear that the era, because it just happens. Brady and Belichick. It happened with Brady and Belichick. If they didn't fire the coach, they lost the player. They just fall out of love. Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, they fell out of love. So, Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, they didn't like it there. They're telling you to stay away. Nick Sirianni over on my Zoom call. Don't know how he's going to do with a brutal owner like that. Alright, so I talked earlier about how the draft's coming up on the 29th. I really think Atlanta is in a great position to trade the pick. I really do. I do. 'Cause I just think if you trade down somewhere, you'll get the assets for it, and you don't have to. I don't think you should draft Kyle Pitts. You got Hurst. And I think you can get a defensive player even if you trade down along with assets from your trade. So I think it's perfect for them to trade the pick. Okay. So Belichick and Brady, as I said, were quick to comment on Edelman's retirement. So think about this. Edelman was able to do everything when it mattered. He showed up when it mattered. That's what Brady propped him on when when he kind of commented on his retirement. He was like, always showed up in the big games. Think about this. Sometimes it doesn't matter like the stats. Jason Garrett had the same win percentage as Bill Parcells, he has a better win percentage than Jimmy Johnson. So, and that's because Jimmy Johnson, what did he have to do? He had to rebuild a crappy franchise, and the first 2 years were a nightmare. And he's a legend. Jason Garrett had a good... there's a difference between having a good run and being a legend. Garrett had a good run. Jimmy Johnson was a legend. Edelman played in games when it mattered. And think about this. Mariano Rivera wasn't the starting pitcher. He won 82 games. Didn't even win 100 games. He was unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. No one said no. So, Edelman, he had a great career. Hold on. Alright, let's get some music here. Alright.